Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So with the manifold wrapped and the alternator and starter motor fitted, we can now go ahead and fit the manifold and then get on with the rest of the exhaust. Let's take a look at that. I'm Roy Farr and this is my build of a Gardner Douglas 427 Mark IV. So we're going to start with the manifold pointing under the car like this, and we're going to take the leading edge, the front part, and we're going to rotate that upwards first and then kind of rotate it through. So let's just see how that goes there. So we're going to bring this side up and just push the underside of the exhaust towards the front and just bring this up this way. That's it, and that's how that will come up through that gap. Now, for now, just because I've only got one pair of hands, I'm just going to pop one of the bolts in up here, just loosely, just to hold that in place for the time being. Then we're going to get the gasket. So here's the gasket. It's clearly marked with manifold side in the center there and down, so we can place that like this. Now, with only two hands, this is a bit of a faff. Okay, now if we just look down on the top here for a second, if I pop that dipstick back in, it's actually going to slot through the middle of these two banks here. Just drop that down with one hand so I can carry on holding the camera. Right, with that in place, that's going to want to sit just there. Now, a few minutes ago when I tried this the first time and thought, okay, this is the perfect place, there was actually no hole for this to go through. Now, there may be other solutions where you could bend the tube and you could put it into one of the other areas, but I've actually just drilled this hole through the manifold using a succession of drill bits up to a 10mm, and I've lined it all up, so that should now fit on there nicely. This is where the dipstick's supposed to go. You can route it somewhere else, but this bracket will then be a problem. It won't be long enough, or rather the tube will be too short to fit over here, and it'll sit too high if you try and mount it on this one. So you've either got to pull this off, or you've got to make this modification to the exhaust manifold, and I found this easy enough. Just mark it up with a pencil, drill the hole, away you go. Right, time to fit the other manifold. So, same principle as before. We're going to pop this one under the car and then I imagine rotate it up in exactly the same way as the other side, with the leading edge rotate it up forwards first, up towards the top, and the trailing edge, the back part of the car, coming in afterwards. Okay, let's try and rotate this into place. So push under the car, turn around towards the front, raise the front section up, rotate that forwards, and then we're almost there. And we'll pop a bolt in first. This is the back of the chassis where we have that lovely stainless steel L-shaped panel that holds the fuel pump and the regulator. Just below that on the front here we've got three holes, and they're going to hold this exhaust support bracket. Now this is a big thick piece of rubber here which is going to act as a vibration dampener, and I've made this up how it's supposed to be so far, with the L-shaped bracket here, this piece basically pointing up and out from the car, so that sits on here this way, so this bracket outwards. The bolts go through the bracket, through the rubber, and then out the back with those washers on the back. Those U-shaped exhaust brackets hang effectively upside down, I guess that is, like that. And the idea is when you line this up, you want the top surface here to be basically level with the underside of that chassis rail, just ever so slightly below, and obviously central. So that's how it's got to sit. And the other thing you need to do is drill these 3 holes. On my chassis here, these 3 holes for the rubber here, these are 4 centimetres apart. So you've got an 8 centimetre left to right measurement there. And all I've done is I've taken a couple of pieces of masking tape and just marked out those measurements 2 centimetres in from either side of my particular piece of rubber here. So we've got those 8 centimetre left to right and then 4 centimetre gaps for those holes. So I'm just going to drill those holes and then we'll get that mounted. And there we have it, a fully made up bracket, the rubber pad, the 3 bolts going through the rubber pad with washers and lock nuts on the back, 3 similar bolts going through the top there, spring washers, and then just left open, and they will go into those 3 sockets there into the chassis. So before we finish putting the wrap around that angle at the base of this driver's side or offside manifold, got both of the U brackets in there, and I thought it's time to have a look at test fitting this enormous great long straight tube which runs all the way along to the back of the car in those brackets that I've just put in. So we've got the cat just there, so I just thought it's probably best if we lift the back section into place first and then line up that front one on this side and then slot that in. So back section first. Just slide that through with enough surplus so we can get round to the front and then slide the front piece in. So with the back lifted up into place and held in that back bracket, we just want to see just how much of this exhaust we actually need to go into this angle. So it's a good idea just to mark it with a pencil. So just in here I've already put a little mark. We need to get about that much into the angle, otherwise we won't have a good seal. There we go, that's good. And then one of these U brackets will come down and fit there, probably rotated sideways to keep it out of the way of, maybe this way, keep it out of the way of the floor. A bit more ground clearance. Upright would probably be a disaster, that'd be really difficult to get to. So probably sideways, something like that. And this one's similar, probably facing forwards. Yeah. What I might do though is actually wrap the exhaust all the way along to here and then put the brackets on afterwards. That might be a bit of a tight fit, but we'll see. Good. And for now, with that front section in place and the back one just being held in that U bracket at the back, that's how much we've got proud at the moment. Now, body of my car still being painted, so I won't be able to fit the rest of the exhaust yet because it all comes back here and hangs on the underside of the rear of the boot. And of course, when we come to fit that section, probably the right thing to do will be to take that clamp off again, support the exhaust from below, and then fit the rest of the angled sections, etc. on there, and then put that clamp back on again afterwards. Cool. So here we go with the elbow installed and the straight pipe from the cat all the way back to the back of the car. Now, the question here is, what are we going to do with the rest of this exhaust wrap? So I stopped it up here previously. We've got a join here, we've got another join just down there as the main straight pipe comes in, and if we just come up underneath we can see what that looks like underneath there. So what I'm thinking is I actually remove these clamps, just pop them off, take the exhaust wrap all the way down over the joint as far as I can come along here, just so we get over this other joint, and that should be enough then to clear the rest of the starter motor there. So hopefully insulating as much of this exhaust from that starter motor and trying to prevent all of that heat soak. Now, I don't have enough to go anywhere near the cat, but maybe it's a good idea that we leave the cat exposed at this point. Yeah, that's the thinking right now. So let's see whether or not I've got enough tape. So this is going to be quite fiddly because I want to try and wrap this all the way around the back of the exhaust and cover the back piece there that wasn't quite covered earlier on. So this is going to be a bit difficult to get the first piece on here. If I can get the first wrap around the back here, cover enough of the back of the exhaust, hopefully that will be a good base to start from. Just going to pull all of this surplus through. Not ideal with such a massive length, but this will do. So there we go, all wrapped. Just have a quick look from the top. All looking tidy. Stainless steel wrap around the new section, coming down into that elbow joint and the O2 sensor coming out the side there. All that's left now is to put the clamps on. So that brings us to the end of another video. Next time we're going to take a look at the engine harness, all of that wiring for the engine. Again, now's a perfect time to do all of that with the body out of the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.